So if you ever wondered what it would take to build a custom shed from ground zero, well, we're looking at ground zero with this tree stump. In this video, we'll show how we chewed it out and how we made this pad. We wanted to be able to drive the tractor in right from the driveway. So we built up some forms, then we poured a level pad all the way to the driveway. We also set some J-bolts into the concrete so we can attach the structure to them. Once the concrete hardens, we can go ahead and start putting the structure up. We built this entire structure out of treated lumber and then bolted it down nice and tight. Then we just continued to frame all the trusses. Once everything's square, we start to put the sheathing on. Then the roof sheathing. After the roof decking is all put on, now it's time for the drip edge. This will protect the edges of the decking. Now it's time to get everything all ready for the shingles. Once the tar paper's in place, we can start with the shingles. The first layer of shingles goes upside down, and then you continue all the way to the top. So that's a stone skip of how you put together a custom shed. Now I'm gonna go ahead and fill in some of the details. Getting that tree stump out was no easy task. We drilled it, filled it with oil, tried to burn it out, but we ended up having to chop it out. These 4 pads will add extra structure as the footer. Here's some pieces of that root. We added some rebar in the middle just to add structure to the slab. These 4 pads will add some extra structure to the corners of the structure. So with the forms in, we were able to pour the concrete and trowel it to a reasonable finish. So before the concrete set, we put in these J-bolts so we can tie the actual structure to these bolts. If you need a little more time while finishing the concrete, you can add some water. So we built the walls in the garage and then carried them out and put them into place. These J-bolts do a really good job of holding it nice and secure to the pad. These barn-like trusses, we made a template and made them all the exact same way. Now putting these into place is definitely a trick. We have 2 holes drilled in each side so we can secure them. So once they're set into place, we take a nail and we drive it in. Then we take a screw and give it a little more oomph. That'll help with heavy winds. Now with the frame just about complete, you can kind of see what you've got. It's time to verify that everything is straight and square. Now we can start to put the decking on. A lot of the cuts are the same, so we'll set up the saw and make all the cuts. Some of the cuts we can make on the table saw, the other ones we have to use a circular saw. As we put this siding on, it starts to get really strong fast. This barn roof really gives a lot of space inside. So we cut all the pieces and then nail them up with 8-penny nails. If the structure is not aligned, you can use these straps to pull everything back into square. Just keep checking everything with the level to make sure nothing goes out of square. Once you get the decking on, if it's out of square, it's going to be really hard to fix. So take your time as you're putting the sheathing on. You do not want any surprises at the end. This is a comforting sight.
Much better.
Level makes everybody feel good. These corner pieces really start to make it all look like it's coming together. These last couple days have been 90 degrees and really high humidity. Now it's time for the roof so we can get it all blacked in. There's a lot more ladder work now that we're on the roof. Little by little, it gets darker and darker. Now we need to protect the edges of this sheathing. This drip edge will protect all the edges. The drip edge needs to be installed so the water flows all the way to the ground. Once you've got the drip edge installed, you can go ahead and start putting the tar paper on. When you put the tar paper on, you want to make sure that you give yourself at least an inch more than you need. You want to make sure the tar paper is nice and flat, no wrinkles. You want the shingles to lay flat. You want to keep your shingles out of the hot sun unless you need the shingle to bend. Then you can lay them out in the sun just for that purpose. When you lay the shingles down for the first course, they need to be upside down. See how the notches are upward? Each full shingle gets 4 nails. Now we're going to be placing a shingle the correct side down. This will allow a shingle under the tab. Once you get the bottom row on, you'll be able to stagger the shingles, and there's some guides to help you with this. See this little cut right here at the top of the shingle? You can line the shingle up to this little cut. The bottom edge of the shingle will cover the slit at the top of the other shingle. Now, to make sure that these shingles go on straight, you're going to want to snap a chalk line. This ensures that your shingles do not drift. One thing is certain, if you're going to be roofing, it's going to rain. It doesn't matter what the weather report is. When you get to the top of the roof, you're going to treat this a little different. You're going to cut these caps, and they'll tie the top of the roof together. Now, the very last cap is going to be handled a little different than the first. The last cap will just be cut into a single rectangle. Then 4 nails will be used to secure it. Because these nail heads are going to be exposed, we're going to cover them in silicone. Then you can use your fingers just to tap it down a little bit. And those are the basics on how to build a shed. Now we'll need to give it a coat of paint, put some trim on, get the doors in, and now we've got a custom shed to the exact size that we want.